Tuning in to the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, AfterBuzz fans. Welcome to another edition of Spotlight On. I'm your host, Megan Salinas, and joining me for a wonderful follow-up, David DeSantos.
Hey there. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Welcome back to AfterBuzz.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. We really appreciate you taking the time.
Let's not having our first fight about whose pleasure it is.
You're right. You're right. I'm sorry.
That's good. It's good to see you.
Good. We are very happy to have you here
Thanks.
today. And for those of you who are watching live, we are actually going to be keeping an eye on Twitter. If you use the hashtag #SpotlightOn, we will. You can go ahead and submit your questions. We will be keeping an eye on that. So if you have any questions for David, let us know. I'm going to go ahead and take this time to remind you guys that if you haven't already, please go to iTunes, subscribe, go to AfterBuzzTV.com on YouTube, subscribe. We're on SoundCloud. Go to all those places, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you think of our shows. We really appreciate it. So, David,
hey.
Also, if people want to tweet at you directly, do you have a Twitter handle?
Yeah, it's Ashland DeSantos, as in the city in Oregon, Ashland, ASHLAND, then my last name. Yeah.
So that's a fun little story.
It's a fun little story. I was a company member at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, and I had been, I guess, against Twitter for a while. I didn't quite understand it. And then someone said, oh, if you don't learn Twitter, you're not going to know how to do everything else. And so I was working up at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, and I was like, well, what do I call myself? I'm living in Ashland, Ashland DeSantos, and there you have it. And then Instagram is the same, and, there you go.
Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I was the exact same way. I did not want to get a Twitter, but then once you get it, kind of gets a little addicting.
It gets addicting, and then you get to follow like Sarah Silverman and Steve Amiri. There's a couple. There's this one, the Fat Jewish. I don't know. He's on Instagram and Twitter. It's probably the funniest thing I've ever, like, these daily things. And you just realize nowadays that the communication, the accessibility of people is globally it's pretty impressive. I was just on an episode of Castle that I shot about a month ago. It aired last week, called The Wrong Stuff. I played George Reyes in the there's a Mars Mars motif, and I'm accused of murder. And I sent one little thing on Twitter. Excited to be on Castle tonight. Like 160 retweets, 200 some odd favorites, and it just kept happening throughout the day. And then people are having conversations with me in Portuguese, and I'm just going, I get it. I get it.
You start worrying that steam is going to start coming out of your phone, and it's going to short circuit.
What is that heat going on in my pocket?
So you have been very busy since the last time you've been here at AfterBuzz. You just mentioned Castle.
Yeah.
What was it like getting to work on that show?
It was such a well-oiled machine. I was on episode 15 or 16 of season 7, so I think that means it was like episode 150 something that they've been on, and you could feel that everyone just gets to work. The preparation is pretty intense, but you just show up, you do your thing. Stana and Nathan were incredible to work with, one funny little thing that I did realize, when you're in an interrogation setup with the leads of a show, your chair is just a little bit shorter than their chair.
Oh.
That's a little there's a little something, little actor thing that I just found out. So Stana was just a smidge in a, what would you say, superior position as she was interrogating me for murder. But
That makes a lot of sense, actually, just from a framing perspective.
Absolutely. John Wayne, when he was shooting his scenes in the Westerns, they would build the door frames smaller so that he had to duck under. So he always
So he always looked taller.
looked a little taller than he always was. So
That's really cool.
So Stana actually is 6'7" is what she looks like.
Wow.
Or not.
They just build the doors a little smaller.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, I know Nathan Fillion in particular has a really big following.
Yeah.
That show is very, very popular.
That one, and then before it was Firefly also was huge cult following as well.
Yeah, a lot of brown coats out there.
Yeah.
With when you got the part for Castle, were you at all nervous because it does have such a big following?
Yeah, more excitement. I had done a nice little recurring thing on General Hospital last year for a little while, which is such a fun medium to work in, and so getting to do another ABC show, and also an ABC show that has such a following, but there's also this love for the show. They're treated really well, and so it was just a pleasure to work there. The first take. They call it the what do they call it? The pancake take.
Pancake.
Yeah, because when you're making pancakes and the first one's always pretty oblong, and you kind of get it a little screwy. So my first take was the pancake take, definitely of the day. But then we had 3 or 4 great takes. I worked for 47 minutes. It was an incredible day. Honestly, and what showed last week on the episode was really good. It's good.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Now, because they've been doing it for so long, you said it's like a well-oiled machine. Do they take time to kind of joke around, or is everybody kind of like serious business until the job is done?
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I can probably tell this story then. My chair made a little sound when my jeans moved over it, and it was a sound similar to, say, a fart.
Oh no.
And so I noticed it at one point in between takes, and I think when we had turned the camera around onto Stana, I sat down in the chair and it made the noise, and she said, was that you? And I said, yeah, I'm just really comfortable here now. So, and she goes, oh, that's good. And we laughed about it for a second. She said, you have to do that during my take. And I said, no, I can't do that. So we do this first take, her close up, and I don't do it. I just can't, because we're staying in the moment. And then she says cut, or the director says cut. And she looks at me and she goes, why didn't you do it? I go, son, I can't. Like, we're like, she goes, trust me, I'll take the heat if there's ever an issue. We've already done your coverage. Like, just do it. And she says, do it on the line before you say that you didn't kill her or something. And I just went, all right. I mean, okay. So we set up the shot, action, and we do the thing. And there's this pause before I say, I didn't kill her. And I very lightly graze my leg, and it goes, and I put my head down, and we still play the scene. Stana doesn't break. Camera guy, the boom operator, puts his head down. Turns out I couldn't see them, but the camera operators behind me had to drop their heads, and there was this little inside joke. And when it was over, it was this, what I got from it was, even in complete professionalism, there's still an opportunity to not take yourself so seriously. And I come from a theater background. I've been have been doing plays my whole life, and it's okay to still be human. Like, what if that George Reyes is interrogating and has gas? Why not? Like, why would that stop? So that's for that particular take. My character had gas. And
he's still human.
Still human, I had to eat, beforehand. So when I watched it, when I watched it last week, I thought to myself, is there a moment where will we catch it? So I don't know.
That would
to
have
watch
been
it
really
again.
funny if, like, maybe they'd changed the audio a little bit.
Just a little bit.
If that had been the take that they went with. Hopefully that'll make it onto the blooper reel.
I know. The thing is, it's there. There is a take on her coverage that of. She said that she got just a little. She didn't break it all, but there was just a little light in her eye, just a little moment, and I'm sure the moment was, oh my God, he really did it.
Sucker. So that sounds like it was a lot of fun to work on. What other things have you been keeping busy with since you were here?
I've got the Red Road is going to be premiering in just a couple of. No, I don't have the exact date, but check your local listings. It's coming in mid-April, I think, for on the Sundance Channel. And we shot that in Atlanta last September or something. A handful of episodes. It's only got an 8-episode season. I'm recurring on that show as Stanley Hoff. I run a construction firm that Jason Momoa's character is connected to, so I can really say about it. But that was fantastic. What was great about that is working with Sundance Channel. This was their first scripted television show, and speaking of Twitter and Instagram, like they used because of Jason Momoa's huge presence with Game of Thrones, they used Twitter and Instagram as a way to promote this show. Because season 1 had a good following, but they knew that if they used social media in a way that everyone who was in love with the size of his chest and that amazing beard, but also his great presence, and he's be Aquaman soon as well, that they could capitalize on it, and I think it's going to benefit. I think we're going to have a really good season.
That's cool. Exciting. So without giving anything away, because I know that's always the tough part, especially with NDAs, there's not a ton that you can talk about.
Right.
But what can you talk about this next season?
Sure. Well, I play a human.
That's good.
Yeah. I play a human.
A human who does human things on a regular basis.
On a regular basis. Sometimes I keep a secret. Sometimes I try to get a secret from another human. What else can I say about it? I mean, I think not anything.
Not a ton.
Not a ton.
Can you talk a little bit about what it's like actually recording for the show? Because maybe you can't give away any plot points, but you can talk about what it's like working with the cast.
Yeah, everyone was just so happy to be part of, again, because of Sundance was so excited to have a second season and really put such put all their backing into it. Was everyone knew that they were part of something special. In the same way when I did Ray Donovan last year, was you knew you were part of a show that people cared about, and so that was the same with this, that there was this brotherhood in a way. Plus we were all shooting a lot of exteriors in Atlanta, Georgia, and the weather is a little interesting. It's just a little interesting. So there's a camaraderie that happens.
You said it was the tail end of September then, so that's still kind of in the summer air.
It was still it was sticky. It was sticky. I would talk to some of the makeup people, and they were saying, because some of their friends were on Walking Dead, and you think about being in full prosthetic in the middle
zombie gear.
Full zombie gear for 16 hours in the swamps of Atlanta. Pretty intense. So we were good. We were just wearing clothes like humans wearing clothes, and that's it.
At least we're not like those guys.
Yeah, right. and there was a scene where Momoa was shirtless. I can probably say that.
That's definitely a good thing.
I'm sure I can say that. I hope I'm not in trouble for saying that. He's shirtless.
Just going to tweet that out.
I think he already did Instagram pictures of it anyway. So it's all right.
That's good. I wanted to talk to you. I know you talked a little bit about it last time you were here, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about When the Game Stands Tall.
Sure.
You talked a little bit about being on that one. I wanted to know, since it's an adaptation of a book by the same name, I wanted to know if there was a lot of pressure with being in a work that's an adaptation rather than just something that's an original work just on its own.
What a great question. Neil, who wrote the book, was actually on set every single day. He was one of the screenwriters of the actual feature, Neil Hayes, and I mean, not only was Neil Hayes there, but two of the original coaches, I can't remember the two gentlemen's names, were actually consulting producers, and they were on set as well. Coach Lattiser came out, who the story was about. He came out with Terry Edson, and so we never felt like we were, what would be the word, stepping on any toes. Like it felt, because we had so many of the actual people that were on set every day, that we were telling the right story.
It felt like they were behind you,
Absolutely.
not against you.
Absolutely. And before we had started production, I got a chance to call Mike Blasquez, who's the part that and I'm not sure if I mentioned this last time I was here, but we talked for a couple hours. Let me say that again. He talked for a couple hours, and I got a chance to listen to his story about how he became the assistant or the head trainer for the De La Salle Spartans. And so I was able to, even though not all the stuff that I shot made it into the film, I was still able to honor a man who still, you know, who was so grateful to be part of the experience. It was pretty special. It's pretty special.
That's awesome that you got to actually talk to him about it, because a lot of people don't get that opportunity.
Yeah, and he's up at Berkeley right now. He's been at Cal as their conditioning training coach for years. I guess I'm like 150 pounds lighter than him. He was a bodybuilder. Not to say that I'm not overweight, but he's a bodybuilder, man, the whole deal. And
it's all muscle.
All muscle, you know, squatting 600 pounds and stuff. And so when the actual coaches came, Terry Edson and Bob Lattiser, and they saw that I was playing their assistant coach, Mike Blasquez, Terry Edson looked at me and he was like, yeah. And I went, I know, I'm a little off a little bit. He's like, no, it's good, man. It's fine. It's fine. He's just a lot bigger. And I laughed with him, but it was still an honor to.
He's the type of guy that they don't have to make the door smaller.
He pushes. He's like Hulk. He just knocks the walls down and walks through, you know.
That's great. Given the message of the film, I was wondering what advice you would like to give to young men and women aspiring to follow their dreams and just be better.
Oh wow, what a great question. I was fortunate enough to have a mom who never stopped saying that I could do whatever I wanted, and that when I've surrounded myself, thankfully, with other artists and friends and photographers and musicians who believe that it's a necessity to be an artist, and that if I'm able to take the timeline out of it, because a lot of us get really stuck on how long it's going to take, right? What's that little saying? If you don't learn to play the piano, like someone says, I don't know, how long is it going to take me to learn to play a Mozart piece if I don't know how to play? The same amount of time as if you never learned how to play. And so I took the timeline out of it a long time ago. And so, because it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. So there's this feeling of it's all fantastic. And like being able to make a living as an actor. It's all I ever wanted to do when I was a kid. And so I always think, if my 10-year-old self were to look at me today, and would my 10-year-old self think, you're doing what you said you would do? And so for me to actually answer the question, it's like, if your 10-year-old self, and maybe if some of your viewers are a little bit younger, you know, that'll make a little more sense as they get older. But if the 10-year-old self can look at you now and go, wow, well done, then that's pretty cool.
I agree. I think that's a really good thing for people of all ages to take away.
Absolutely. Cool.
Now, you said that you knew exactly what you wanted to do when you were 10. I always like to ask about that eureka moment. Like, what is the moment where the light bulb flashed and you're like, that's what I want to do?
All right, so I'm a student at Pinecrest Elementary, which is here at Sherman Way in Hazeltine. We're doing Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Here's a question. I know you've only known me a short period of time. Maybe we have another listener who's in the studio. Maybe he might be able to chime in. What dwarf do you think I played?
Grumpy?
Oh! Yes! Well done! I mean, yeah. So I was Grumpy. My mom said it was typecasting. And we did our production at Walter Reed Junior High. A full audience of parents and whoever is in the audience. In my imagination, it was totally sold out. There was probably 35 people there. But Jessica Plotin played Snow. And all the dwarfs were sitting in chairs at the front of the stage. I had a basin of water, a little wash basin or something, on my lap, and she kissed Bashful, Dopey, Sneezy, Sleepy, Doc,
Grumpy.
Well, I'm the last one, but so she kissed all of them on their forehead. I'm in the last chair. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then she pushed my face into the water. Thank you. That's the response though. All the audience, all the parents they laughed and they went and it was genuine, and I'm sure I had some grumpy move, response, but I heard the laughter. And I was like, I'm in. I'm screwed now. This is it. I'm sorry, Mom, but this is what I'm going to chase now for the rest of my life. A girl to push my face into a tub of water. And it hasn't happened since yet. So maybe you could pour this on me or something.
I wouldn't want to get the mic wet.
Good one.
They'd yell at me if I did.
But that was it. That was the thing. But my great grandfather was the first president of the Directors Guild Association, and he made the first 3D movie about Venus virgins. It was a black and white movie in like 1951 or something like that. It's all on YouTube. All 9 separated into 9 pieces. But Arthur Hilton was his name, and he was this great director. And my grandma was a film editor, and my grandpa was a chemist in film labs, and my dad. I got to meet Leonard Nimoy once, because my father was the assistant editor on Star Trek III, The Search for Spock, which was the one that Leonard Nimoy directed. And I got to see a screening at Paramount, a director's cut prior to any of the stuff with Mr. Nimoy, whoever was the editor at the time, my dad, and me. There were 4 of us in the screening room at Paramount watching. I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So I
think there are a lot of people who would agree with you.
Yeah, it was pretty. I was maybe 8 or 9. I was very young, so I don't think I quite grasped the levity or the gravity, really, what it was. I don't think until I got older, I was like, dude, I got to hang out with Mr. Spock in a private screening room with him, his movie. So my whole life has sort of been sort of pushed to be able to be around some really cool artists, you know.
Now having that kind of not only surrounding yourself with all artists of all different kinds, your family does have that really well-rounded background for post-production and directing. Do you think it's important for people to be well-rounded to be a better actor?
I think we get the two sides to it. It's nice to be able to know how it's all assembled. You know, it's nice to know that when we know how a movie is made and understand our part as an actor, what's required of us, but also to know that, like, if you see The Hobbit, for example, the last one, which was so good, but you watch the credits at the end, and there are, you know, well over 1,500 men and women who made that movie possible, and the only people you saw were the 17 or 25 actual cast members, but that there are 7 to 10 people behind each and every one of them to make that possible. We used to say that at the Oregon Shakespeare Festival, that for every actor that you see on stage, there's 5 people behind them that make it possible for that person to be, to say their lines. Whether it's a dresser who helps them with their quick changes, or it's the person who made the wig, or it's the guy who's running the spotlight, or it's the assistant stage manager who's calling stuff. Like, we forget that even on Castle, there were just 3 of us in the room. You know, Stana, Nathan, and me acting, but there were 17 other people that were making it possible. And you're like, so when you do that, you can honor the whole the art form, you know. And being able to have a film editor in the family, it has screwed things up a little bit for me, because I watch things a little more
maybe critically,
a little bit sometimes, but that's good, because I understand how important it is to assemble a good movie, you know. So that's cool.
And you have assembled, actually. You were the co-creator of a web series not too long ago.
Yeah. We wanted more of that to get off, but we did produce. My friend Jenna Johnson and I, we produced a fun little web series about dating in Los Angeles. That's never been done before, but we wanted more. There's just so many awesome avenues nowadays for artists that just didn't exist when I was a kid. You weren't able to go out. You had to have a camera on your shoulder with a VHS tape inside of it. But, you know, now you can cut a movie on you can get iMovie on your phone and literally cut a film. You know, it's great.
Yeah, it's really impressive with what people can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and since for that particular project, you were both behind the camera and in front of the camera, pulling double duty. Do you like doing that, or is that a little too hectic?
Not at all. No. It's that's what's great when you can hire producers and they do all that stuff, and you can just be an actor. But God bless the multi-hyphenates, like the real multi-hyphenates. I was thinking about, I saw the Justin Bieber billboard on Sunset. No comment on that. But I was thinking, 25 years ago, Mark Wahlberg was on that exact billboard. And I just thought, wow, when he was doing Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch, did he think he'd be producing Entourage 25 years later, and that the career that he's had with HBO and producing, I mean, maybe in the long term, yeah, but when he was just making a hip hop album and then wearing underwear for Calvin Klein, he had no idea. Wouldn't it be funny though now if Justin Bieber 20 years from now is producing one of the best shows on HBO? That'd be pretty. You heard it here first.
Maybe 20 years from now I could buy that. But you're right. Like, I would never guess, looking back at Mark Wahlberg.
There's no way that you would have put Mark Wahlberg with that at the time, that he would have one of the most important producers in TV and film right now. You go, oh, it's pretty cool.
You're right, though. It's very important to be well-rounded, I think, for that reason.
Yeah.
But going back to acting, I'm personally a huge fan of audiobooks and voice acting.
You are? Mm-hmm. Awesome.
I was wondering if you had any upcoming stuff for audiobooks.
Yeah, we just released The City Stained Red for with Blackstone Audio, and it just dropped on Audible and iTunes and everything in Blackstone, which is the first in a fantasy series by a cool writer named Sam Sykes. It's kind of like a Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings-y type thing.
Cool fantasy setting.
Cool fantasy setting. 5 characters: a wizard, demons, flying warlords, and I've got all the voices.
My favorite one. This is the actual. The wizard is this guy. His name is Dredalion, and I don't know why I wanted him to sound this way, but I just sort of figured that because he's a small wizard. And he's able to levitate and shoot fire out of his hands, but he wore glasses, and I thought, well, and everybody picks on him because, so I was like, he always had like a sinus infection.
So, and they seem to like it. So,
bravo!
Thank you. Thanks. Yeah, that's available, and I guess we'll probably do part 2 in about a month or 2.
Now, do they let you kind of find the voices for all the characters, or do they kind of give you a little bit more direction?
No, you have it depends. For something like this, I had full carte blanche to do what I wanted, and then just sort of thought, okay,
when they meet this guy, there's a possibility that my editor is going to say,
David, maybe you should change that around a little bit. And the author loved it, so I was like, all right, we're in. Dredalion is now this little pipsqueak, but he still shoots fire out of his hands. So like, he's still pretty badass. Like, you know,
he just happens to be a little down on himself.
And if the author likes it, it is canon.
It's in. And I tweeted him. I was like, one word, Dredalion, and he got like a massive amount of retweets. I'm like, that's my favorite character. I'm in. So there'll be more of Dredalion in May, I think, or April or May.
I can't wait to check that out. That sounds hilarious.
Yeah, it's fun.
Now, I do actually have a question, because you also did motion capture work for Battlefield.
Yeah, we can talk about it now, too. It's coming out in 11 days or something on the 16th.
That's exciting.
16th or 17th.
I don't know off the top of my head, but that is exciting.
It's either March 16th or 17th. If you go to Battlefield, I think it's just battlefield.com, but because that's their only game that's coming out. But I just want more of that. Like, there's an actor named Benito Martinez who's on who's so good. He's playing Mendoza on on House of Cards right now. Mm-hmm. He was on The Shield for 7 years. He had a great arc on Sons of Anarchy, and he plays one of the characters in this. And he's done like 5 or 6 video games, and this is an actor you've seen for years. And Nicholas Gonzalez is one of the leads in this one, and we all just were like, this is the coolest thing in the world. Yeah. Like, and as a theater actor, being in that room, you know, surrounded, like, you don't really care that all the cameras are there, but they call it the volume, and all the and in front of the volume is where all the computers are, and they're working on your eye motion and all the motion capture, and you're able to see yourself on a TV on a monitor in the sort of bare bones world that they've already created. It's the reason why at some point Andy Serkis, who if you don't know, he plays Gollum and
King Kong, Planet of the Apes.
He's Caesar. He will at some point get an Oscar, whether it's a Lifetime Achievement Award or whatever. He will get an Oscar because he's like also the second unit director on all of the performance capture for all of those movies. And he's one of the greatest actors of this generation that the younger side of the Academy is acknowledging, because you watch Caesar, for example, and after having done some performance capture, realizing everything that Andy Serkis is doing as Caesar is actually him. He just happens to have a computer-generated costume.
All those nuances.
Everything that's happening physically is all the actor.
Well, I'm really glad you brought that up because I actually wanted to ask you on Twitter right now and also on a bunch of different social media sites. There's actually a hashtag going on. It's actually just popped up in the last couple days. It's the hashtag I'm on board 2015, and it's a hashtag to kind of allow voice actors for video games specifically and the motion capture actors to get a little bit more recognition. I was wondering if you had heard about that at all.
Yeah, it also has to deal with a financial. These games, are making $1 billion, and actors. It's a financial. There are no residuals. Actors don't. We don't make any residuals off of something that makes a close to $1 billion. But so hopefully that'll change. When the contracts for Screen Actors Guild were written, we had no idea, even 15 years ago, that there would be an we call it the interactive contract. There wasn't even an interactive contract up until a handful of years ago. So as we've gotten, like Battlefield Hardline ends up, if you take all of the actual game out of it, it's a 92-minute movie. We have a full movie that also has some of the baddest, coolest war stuff that's going on. The game itself is extraordinary. There's a group of us that are getting together to play it on the day that it comes out.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and we're going to be playing with the writer, so we will know all the. We'll have remember when you had the Legend of Zelda,
a little cheat guide.
A little cheat guide. We have the guy who will be make a left, So we'll be able to get through the whole game. But it's we made a movie, and in the coming years. There's going to be more of that, so I am definitely on board. Absolutely.
Where can people go if they want to find out more about that particular movement?
I think that is really what it is. The hashtag I'm on board. I should have,
Well, that's good. Unfortunately, we are running a little bit short on time.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
we did well.
I wanted to know if there were any other upcoming projects you wanted to talk about while you're here.
I've got a big studio thing that I'm working on in Miami that I can't mention a single solitary thing about, but I'll be in Miami in May. There'll be another audiobook coming in May, and there's this thing in Los Angeles right now called Pilot Season. Probably don't know what that is. It's where a bunch of actors are running around frustrated in traffic. So a lot of us are really busy. But there'll be something really nice to talk about soon.
Great. Well, if fans want to keep up with you and all the work that you're doing and all your social media stuff, where should they go?
Go to Ashland DeSantos, both at Instagram or at Twitter, and that's where I'm at.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming in and taking the time to talk with us.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, no, my pleasure. I always enjoy getting to talk to you guys. Well, thank you so much. And thank you guys for tuning in. You can follow me on Twitter at TheMenguin. That's TheMenguin. Thank you so much again for tuning in to listen. We will see you guys next time.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.